Hare Krishna. So once again, welcome everyone on our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita call. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarini Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. So last time we were talking about chapter 15 titled as Purushottam Yoga, the Yoga of the Supreme, because there's Purushottam month going on and it is very, very auspicious, spiritually uplifting to read and discuss chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita in this Purushottam month. So we talked about first 9 verses of this chapter last time. So the first 5 verses, Krishna is talking about the comparison between material world and spiritual world. This material world is like a reflection of the spiritual world. As in the reflection, you cannot find the real object. The same way, even though we are all searching for happiness, but this material world being the reflection of spiritual world, there is no real happiness in this world. The real happiness is in spiritual world. So like a reflection of mango cannot give the taste of the mango. So same way in this material world, there is no real happiness. So Krishna is giving the analogy of Ashwatha Vriksha, the Vata Vriksha. The Vriksha, this tree has branches going downward and the roots upward. And then Krishna says in the next verses, this tree has branches going downward also and going upward also. And what that means is, in this material world also, we keep going up and down to different planetary system based on the karmic reaction, based on the different karma bank balance that we have accumulated. So we have been going up and down in this material world through different species of life, through different planetary system, trying to enjoy in this world. So Krishna says, with the sword of detachment, one should cut down this tree. So being detached from the material enjoyment or the object of the senses, one should look for the ultimate goal of life. And that ultimate goal of life is to go back to Krishna, to our real home. So then Krishna says, what is this real home? Krishna describes the spiritual world as being a place where there is no sun, there is no fire, there is no electricity, this is self-illuminated. Na tad bhasyate suryo, na shashanko, na pavakaha. So there is no need of sun, moon, fire, because that spiritual world is self-illuminated. There is no darkness. And who can become eligible to go to that place? One who is free from the dualities of this material world, the dualities of happiness and distress, profit and loss. One who has surrendered unto the Supreme Lord and developing that relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that person becomes eligible to go back to the spiritual world. And then the next question asked may become that, okay, if somebody try to stay in this material world, then what happens? So then Krishna has explained, in this material world, we have been going through all these different species based on the different conceptions that we have developed. As the air carries aroma, the living entity carries the different conceptions of life. And these different conceptions of life is hatred towards somebody, friendly relationship towards somebody. So when we develop all these different conceptions of life, we keep getting different life forms. And then what type of bodies one get? Krishna says, text 9, Shrotram Chakshu Sparshanam cha Rasanam Granam evacha Adhishthaya Manashayam Vishayan Upsevate. Living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eyes, tongue, nose, and the sense of touch, which are all grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense object. So we discussed up to this text last time. Now text number 10, Krishna further explained. 10 is Utkramantam Sthitam Vapi Bhunjanam Va Gunanvitam Vimudha Nanu Pashyanti Jnana Chakshusha. So the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. So Krishna says, whatever I have explained till now in this last previous 9 verses, so the foolish person cannot understand. Mudha. And beyond Mudha, there is somebody called Vimudha. Vimudha means who is grossly foolish person. Mudha is foolish, and Mudha are also 2 types, right? Mudha and Vimudha. So what are these 2 types of Mudha? One type of Mudha is who, first of all, doesn't understand the difference in the body and soul. That is one type of Mudha. They think, oh, we are this body, and when this body is done, everything is done. The second category of Mudha, which is Vimudha, they think, oh, this living entity and the super soul, there is no difference. Ultimately, everything is same. You can also become God. I am God, you are God, everybody is God. That is a other category of Mudha, Vimudha. So they think soul and super soul, they are both same. There is no difference. So Krishna says here, these Vimudhas, they cannot understand how the soul gives up one body and acquires another one, and how and what type of body one enjoys under the spell of 3 modes. But one who is trained in this spiritual knowledge, they can understand what is really happening. And then text number 11, Krishna further concludes this section. Krishna says, Yatanto yoginas chainam pashyanti atmani avasthitam yatanto api akritmano nainam pashyanti achetasah. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. So somebody who is endeavoring transcendentalist, who has been situated in self-realization, they can understand what all is taking place. Now, even though somebody is on the process of spiritual realization, on the spiritual path, but still not everybody is developed at the same stage. Right? People have their relative understanding of the different concepts. Even though people may be coming to temple, people may be coming to program for so many years, but still everybody is at a different stage in their spiritual growth. Even if there are 100 people sitting and there is a class going on, people will listen to the same thing but come to different conclusions many times, or they will derive the different level of understanding. And sometimes what happens is we hear something, and as we are hearing, we just get stuck on one thought, one particular point, and we start just repeating, or in our mind that particular point is going on, and we do not hear what is next being described. And at the end of the class, you ask, okay, what you have understood? And many people will give many different answers. Oh, this is the point which I understood from the class. And in reality, that may not be even the right point which is conveyed. Many times it happens. Sometimes people will say, Prabhuji, very nice class. And you ask them at the end, okay, what did you like? Oh, that I forgot. So they are hearing, but at the end, what is the take home message? What is the real essence of the class? Sometimes we do not pay attention to that point. So Krishna is saying, even though there are so many people who are trying to understand, who are on the process of self-realization, not everybody may understand that still. And that's why Krishna had previously also mentioned, Manushanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye, yatatam api siddhanam kaschit mam veti tatvataha. There are thousands and thousands who try to understand me, and out of all these thousands who are trying to understand, one knows me in essence. And if everybody could understand, then Krishna doesn't have to say that one among all these ultimately understands me, because people come to their different level of understanding. Now, text number 12 to 15 is very important point, very important message which Krishna is conveying here, that even though you are in this material world, even though somebody has made a choice to come to this material world, but know that in this material world also, I am the one who is maintaining you, who is providing for all your needs, all your necessities. So this 12 through 15 onwards, what Krishna says, Yada aditya tejo, yagat bhasyate akhilam, yachandramsi yachagno tat tejo vidhimamakam. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. So even though this material world is there, this material world is created, and which is full of darkness, but in this material world, for your sustenance, I am the one who is providing the light through the medium of the sun, through the medium of the moon, through the medium of the fire. So the splendor of the sun comes from me, the splendor of moon comes from me, the splendor of fire also comes from me. So in this material world also, ultimately this is Krishna who is saving us in this particular dark well. गामविश्य च भूतानि धारयामि अहमोजस पुष्णामि चौषधि सर्वा सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः. So here, very interesting point. Krishna says, Gamavishya cha bhutani dharayami aham ojasa. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in the orbit. Pushnami chaushadhi sarva somo bhutva rasatmakam. And I provide the juice of life to all the vegetable through the medium of the moon. So I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all the vegetables. So even though, let's say, in this world, we need something to eat, and there are all sort of people, right? Some people who depend on flesh, some people who depend on fruits and roots. But ultimately, who is providing everything? Everything is coming from Krishna. So how the vegetable grow, how the plants grow, how the juice comes in these fruits and vegetables, this is through the moon, which is supplied by Krishna. Sometimes we claim that for growing the vegetable, we need sunlight, we need air, we need water, and we need soil, earth. But really speaking, the taste of the fruit and vegetable is because of the effect of moonlight. And here Krishna is very clearly stating that point, that juice of life enters into all these vegetables and fruits because of the moonlight, and I become that moonlight to provide that life here, the life juice. So Krishna is providing all these vegetables and fruits also for us, for our sustenance. Even though somebody claim, although I don't eat fruits and vegetable, I am pure non-vegetarian, I subside only on the flesh, I eat meat only. Is there anybody who can claim that they eat only meat? Let's say even if they eat meat, still their sustenance is dependent on the fruits vegetable also, because whomever they are eating, let's say if somebody is eating a goat, somebody is eating some other creature, some other animal, but what does that animal, what does that creature eat? They eat grass, they eat vegetables or something. So indirectly their life is dependent on these vegetables, fruits, grains. Right here in America, we know people do so much of cattle farming, and for cattle farming, they to maintain all these cattle, they have to feed them something. And what do they feed them? They do the farming for the corn, right? They grow so much corn in America. 80 to 90% corn is grown not for feeding human beings, but to feed these animals who are grown, who are cultivated, so that they can slaughter them and sell their meat in the markets. But indirectly, if we see, everything ultimately goes back to fruits and vegetables and grains, and how those things are grown. Krishna is providing the moonlight, the sunlight, and Krishna is providing the rain, because of which everything grows. And in third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we had discussed that the food grows because of the rain, and rain happens because of the yajna. And who is the Yagyapati, the enjoyer of yajna? That is the Supreme Lord, that is Krishna. So ultimately, everything is dependent on Krishna. So if we ask somebody, okay, how do you get milk? These days, if you ask any child who have not seen the farms, who have not seen the dairy, not no cows and all, they may say, oh, we get milk from Kroger or this particular store or that store. Or somebody may say doodh wala bhaiya, right? Somebody comes at home and delivers the milk. But ultimately, we know that milk comes from cow. How does cow give milk? Cow eat grass, and somehow Krishna has put a whole factory inside the cow, that even though the cow eats grass, that grass turns into milk inside the body of the cow. There is no other factory, no other mechanical process in this world which can convert the grass into milk. So how does milk come? Milk comes from cow. How does cow give milk? Cow eat grass, it transforms into milk. So that's how cow gives milk. But how does the grass grow? Right? People are doing so many scientific research also. People have done PhD thesis also, that the grass, how the grass is growing in the earth. Somebody may conclude that yes, grass grows from the earth and it depends on the water. So grass grows because of rain. But how does rain happen? Oh, rain happens because of the cloud. How the cloud is formed? Cloud is formed because the water evaporates from the oceans, from the river. And this water, when it evaporates, it condenses in the form of cloud. But ultimately, from in first place, how the rivers, how these oceans got the water in first place, from where they got the water, such a bulk of gallons, you cannot even measure the billions and trillions and infinite gallons of water which is there in the ocean and rivers. So in first place, from where did this water come? And even though, let's say, the water is there and it evaporates, it condenses, forms as cloud, then how, who has created this facility that this cloud is carrying such a large quantity of water, transporting it from one place to another place? Even though so many vehicles, aeroplanes passes through this cloud doesn't burst. So who has created that system? Who has created all this facility? So ultimately it leads that Krishna has created all this facility. Krishna has created all that system, because of which all these natural phenomena are happening. And sometimes we say, oh, this is automatically happening. Again, as I mentioned earlier also, automatic does not means the absence of a designer, a creator behind it. Automatic simply means that yes, somebody is there behind who has created this system. So all these things are happening, and Krishna is saying, I am providing everything for your sustenance. And let's say now Krishna solved our problem of darkness through the medium of sun, moon, fire. Krishna solved the problem of our hunger by providing us the fruits and vegetables. Now what is the next step? Now we eat that, right? So we eat that vegetables and fruits and grains. So when we eat that, also inside the body, some system has to be there to digest it also. So who does the digestion? So in the next verse, Krishna says, actually, I am the one who is helping in digesting that food also. Aham vashvanaro bhutva praninam dehamashritaha pranapan samayukta pachami annam chaturvidham. So I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kind of food stuff. Pachami annam chaturvidham. So Krishna says, I am the fire of digestion in the body also. Otherwise, we cannot even digest that food also. So in the body, there are two type of fires there. One is called Jatharagni, and another is, here Krishna is saying, Aham Vashvanaro Bhutva, Vashvanara fire. Jatharagni is because of which we feel that hunger. So if somebody's Jatharagni is low, बोलते हैं कि उसकी Jatharagni मंद हो गई है, he doesn't feel much hunger. And if digestion is bad, somebody is not able to digest the food, says the fire of digestion is dim in the body. So if you go to any Ayurvedic doctor, they use these terminology, Jatharagni and Vashvanara Agni, which is fire food, the fire which helps us in hunger, and the other one is helping in digestion. किसी की जठराग्नि मंद हो गई है, किसी की fire of digestion that is dim. So otherwise, Krishna is the one who is helping with all these facility. Even if somebody is eating 1 kilo of rice at a time, somebody may be a very Herculean eater like Bhima. So if somebody is eating 1 kilo of rice also at a time, how that food is getting digested? That again, after a few hours, that person is hungry. If we have eaten since our birth till now, we have eaten truckload of food. But how that food is getting digested in the body? Because of Krishna's presence in the body, in the fire, in the form of that fire of digestion. And Krishna says, Pachami annam chaturvidha. There is 4 type of food stuff. What are these 4 type of food stuff? One which is chewed, one which is drank, one which is licked, and one which is swallowed. So these are the 4 type of different food stuff. So we eat all these different variety of food, something chewing, something drinking, licking and swallowing. So who is helping in digesting? That is Krishna. So Krishna is helping in growing the vegetables also, and Krishna is helping us while after we eat to digest those also. And then in the next verse, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridashannivishto mattah smritirgyanam apohanam cha vedesya sarverhameva vedyo vedanta krid vedavid eva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So, this is a very, very important verse. Actually, everybody should try to memorize this verse. It says, Sarvasya Chaham Hriday Shannivishto. Krishna is saying, I am seated in everyone's heart. Mattah Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. From me comes remembrance, from me comes knowledge, and from me comes forgetfulness. Now, sometimes people claim that, oh, that particular devotee is able to memorize so much. He can memorize so many shlokas. I am not able to memorize. So who is giving this remembrance? From whom this remembrance comes? So Krishna helps in our memory also. Krishna is giving us this memory, and Krishna also helps in forgetting the things also. So at night you go to bed and you are laying down in deep sleep, you forget everything. All the sometimes these tensions and everything you forget many times. And then in the morning again you get up and Krishna gives you the remembrance. Just imagine you get up in the morning and your mind is completely blank. You don't know who you are, what you are supposed to do, where you are. What will happen then? So in the morning when we get up, again that memory comes back. Oh, today I need to go to work and I need to do these particular tasks. I need to finish this work and that work. So who is giving that remembrance? That is coming from Krishna. And many times, yes, Krishna gives forgetfulness also. If somebody want to just be by himself in this world and just has nothing to do with Krishna, Krishna helps him also. Krishna is not helping just the devotees. Krishna is helping the non-devotees also who do not have any faith in Krishna. Krishna helps those also. So even if somebody say, oh, I don't believe in God, Krishna is providing food for them also. Somebody says, I have nothing to do with God, Krishna helps them also to forget about God and continue with their activities. So Krishna is seated in everybody's heart. From him comes the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And Krishna says, the whole essence of all the Vedas, what is that? Krishna is the knower of the Vedas. Krishna is the compiler of the Vedas. And the ultimate goal of the Vedas is to know Krishna. So that is the ultimate goal of all the Vedic literature, to know Krishna. So Vedesya Sarver Aham Eva Vedyo. So Krishna says, I am to be known through all these Vedas, and I am the compiler and I am the knower of the Vedas. So Krishna kindly has given us these scriptures also. With the help of those scriptures, we can try to understand Krishna and develop our relationship with Krishna. And then text number 16 to 20 onwards, Krishna talks about the real identification, the difference between the different type of living entities. So text 16 to 18, these 3 verses are also known as 3 Shloki Gita. So these 3 set of verses, Krishna is explaining that who we really are, that is the essence of the Vedanta. So Krishna says, Dvavimo Purusho Loke Ksharcha Akshara Evacha Sharah Sarvani Bhutani Kuthasto Akshara Uchyate. So there are 2 classes of living entities, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. So in the Vedanta Sutra, overall, all in the Vedanta, that is the ultimate conclusion which is explained. The Kshara Akshara Evacha. So Kshara means fallible, Akshara means infallible. So there are two type of living entity, fallible and infallible. All the living entity in this material world generally are described as Kshara, fallible. We have come in this material world with the tendency to enjoy for ourselves. We want to be separate from Krishna and try to enjoy for ourselves in this material world. And in the spiritual world, everybody is in service of Krishna because that is the real Savrupa of the Jiva. Jivera Savrupa hai Krishnera Nityadas. So we have been trying to enjoy in this material world separate from Krishna, forgetting Krishna. So all these living entities are described as fallible. But sometimes Krishna also comes in this material world, and Krishna also sends his representative, also some acharyas, gurus also, to reclaim all these living entities. So does it mean that they are also fallible, that they have come in this material world? No, they are still infallible. They have come to this material world to serve the purpose of Krishna, to reclaim these living entities. Just the example is jail. In the jail, there are so many criminals there who are given punishment for their criminal activity. So they are in the jail to suffer the consequences of their wrong action. And jailer is there in that jail. And the purpose of jailer is not that he is also suffering. He is there to supervise over those criminals. And then sometime the chief minister or the prime minister may also come for a visit to the jail to see how all the different facilities are provided in the jail, even for those criminals. So it doesn't mean that prime minister also has come to jail, that he is also a criminal or he is also come there to suffer. He just comes out of his own will, and after that visit he just goes back. So same way, sometimes the Supreme Lord also descends down to this material world. Sometimes the empowered representative of the Lord, they descend down to this material world just to serve the purpose of the Lord, to give that knowledge, to reclaim those fallen souls, to connect them back to Krishna. So Krishna says there are two type of living entity, Kshara and Akshara, the fallible and infallible. We are all in the category of fallible. And even though once one become eligible to go back to the spiritual world, that is called sadhana siddha, that by the strength of our practicing this process of bhakti, devotional service, by performing our sadhana, now have become eligible to go back to the spiritual world. So that's called sadhana siddha. So in the infallible category also in spiritual world, there are two categories, sadhana siddha and nitya siddha. Nitya siddha are the ones who never have fallen down to this material world. They're always with Krishna. Those are called nitya siddha. And then sadhana siddha, after going from this material world based on performing their sadhana, by purifying themselves, by giving up the wrong tendencies, then we become eligible to go back. So that is sadhana siddha. So it never becomes that the living entity can become equal to the Supreme Lord. There is no way that the living entity become equal to the Supreme Lord, as some of the different sampradayas or different philosophies, they teach that, oh, once you become siddha, you also become like the Supreme Lord. You become one with the Supreme Lord. You become equal to the Supreme Lord. That is never the case. See, there are many, many different philosophies prevalent in this material world. Even though there are so many individuals who claim, there is one particular organization, one particular set of followers who claim, once a human being, always a human being. Once you become a human, then you're always born as a human. But it's not supported in the Shastra. In the previous verses, Krishna says, as the air carries aroma, The living entity, based on their different conceptions of life, they get different life forms. Right? They go into different species of life, and they acquire different set of senses, a set of eyes, nose, ear, tongue, taste, tongue, and the sense of touch. So they acquire different senses based on the particular species of life, and they function accordingly. So it's not that once a human, always a human. And same way, the other prevalent philosophy is once you become siddha, or you become liberated, that you become one with God, you become equal to God. That is never the case, as Krishna explains in the 17th text there. So in 17th text, Krishna says, Uttamah Purushastva Anya Paramatmeti Udarata Yo Lokatrayam Avishaya Vibhrati Avyaya Ishwaraha. So besides these two, is the greatest living personality, the supreme soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So Krishna is in 17th text, Krishna is claiming that supreme Lord to be a third person. He is not saying, I am that. So as of now, in this 17th text, Krishna is saying, okay, apart from these two living entity, Kshara and Akshara, there is another, the higher living entity, that is the supreme personality of Godhead, and who has entered into the three worlds and maintaining all the living entity. So Krishna says that the Supreme Lord is somebody different from both these fallible and infallible living entities, and he always remains as somebody different. It's not that somebody can become equal to that Supreme Lord or one with that Supreme Lord. And then in 18th verse, now Krishna very clearly claims, clarifies that yes, I am that Supreme Lord. I am the one who is that Supreme Lord. Yasmaksharam atitoham aksharad api chottamah ato asmi loke vede cha prathitah purushottamah. Because I am the transcendental beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. So here Krishna is declaring very boldly that I am that supreme Lord. And Krishna has done that earlier also actually. Right? Krishna has claimed Mattah Paratram Nanyat Kinchit Asti Dhananjaya Mai Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Manigana Eva. That I am that supreme. I am the source of all the material and spiritual worlds. There is nothing superior than me. So here Krishna now finally says that I am that transcendental beyond both the fallible and infallible, and I am that greatest. And that's why I am celebrated both in this world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. So Krishna is the supreme Lord, and Krishna is describing through this Purushottam Yoga chapter, very summarized chapter, 20 verses only, so that we can very clearly understand that Supreme Lord and try to understand that Purushottama Bhagwan and be able to go back to that Purushottam Lord. So Krishna declares very boldly that yes, I am that Supreme Lord. When Lord comes as Lord Ramachandra, he doesn't say even once from his mouth that I am the Supreme Lord. Even though Brahma comes once and tells, I know you are the Supreme Lord, you are Lord Vishnu who has descended here to destroy all these demoniac powers and to remove the burden of earth. And Lord Ramachandra says, I don't know what you are speaking. I am, if you ask me, I can tell who am I. If you ask me, I will tell that I am the son of Maharaj Dashrath. I am just a normal human being. So Lord Ramachandra never claimed, yes, I am the Supreme Lord. But Lord Krishna, he very boldly declares, right? In Bhagavad Gita, so many places we know Lord Krishna is declaring, I am that Supreme Lord. Mattah Paratram Nanyat. So why does Krishna declare so boldly? Why is Krishna claiming that I am the Supreme Lord? because Krishna knew that, okay, this is the end of Dwapar Yuga, and after this Kali Yuga is going to come. And Kali Yuga, there will be many false incarnation. The people will be claiming themselves as the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, that they are the Supreme Lord. To stop all these, or to guide the people in journal, Krishna is making this claim that I am the Supreme Lord. There is nothing who is superior to me. So in the Kali Yuga also, there may be many people who may claim, but there is nothing superior to me, because what Krishna is demonstrating is, Krishna, when he was born in the prison house of Kamsa. And as soon as Krishna is born, Krishna ordered his parents. Krishna ordered Vasudev Maharaj, you carry me on your head and you take me to Gokul. So Krishna said, I was born in the prison house and I managed immediately on the same day, on the day of my birth, to go from that prison house to the free world. And in Kali Yuga, there will be so many people who will claim themselves as the incarnation of God, but then because of their activities, they are put in prison. So first show that you can be relieved from the prison and go out. They spend years and years in the prison house, don't even get a bail, and they spend all their life in the prison house, and then still they take the guts to claim that yes, we are the Supreme Lord. So how foolish is that? And how foolish these people are, Vimudha, who cannot understand, and they believe in these rascals who are claiming themselves to be the incarnation of the Lord. So Krishna is very clearly stating here, I am the transcendental beyond both the fallible and infallible. And I am celebrated in all the Vedas as that Supreme Lord. And then 19th and 20th, these two verses, Krishna is declaring the kind of Phal Shruti. Phal Shruti is what is the result of knowing all this knowledge what Krishna has explained. So the Phal Shruti is know Krishna, know everything. So K-N-O-W, know Krishna, then know everything. By knowing Krishna, we know everything else. But know Krishna, N-O, know Krishna, then you don't know anything. So our purpose is to know Krishna, K-N-O-W, know Krishna. भगवान को जानिए और भगवान को जानने से आप सब कुछ जान सकते हैं. So Krishna says, यो मामेव सम्मूढ़ो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं सह सर्वविद् भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारतः. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in the full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So, if somebody understands Krishna, then ultimately what will they do? So once we know Krishna, it means now we need to serve Krishna. We need to develop love for Krishna. So here, that's why Krishna says, then they engage in my full devotional service. When you know a tree, it's a very valuable tree. There is very sweet fruit growing on that tree. So once you know, then what will you do with that tree? Will you still take a axe and try to cut that tree? Or you will try to nourish that tree, take care of that tree, water that tree, fertilize that tree. So same way, once we know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, what should we do? We should serve Krishna. We should develop love for Krishna. As yesterday in the class, the verse which was used, or not yesterday, on Sunday, in Sunday feast class, one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita was quoted. Prabhu kahe Krishna seva Vaishnava sevana nirantar karo Krishna nama sankirtana. These are three activities to receive mercy. What are these three activities? Krishna seva, serving Krishna. Vaishnava seva, serving the devotees of the Lord. Krishna nama sankirtan, chanting the holy name of Krishna. So when we know Krishna is the Supreme Lord, so naturally we should engage ourselves in always remembering Krishna, serving Krishna, hearing about Krishna. Right? When you love somebody, you want to hear more and more about that person. See, generally parents, they are not as much pleased when somebody is talking about them. But when somebody comes and they are talking about their child and they're praising their child, the parents become even more happy. Oh, this person is praising my child. He's glorifying my son or my daughter. So they become more happy. So once we know Krishna, then we should serve Krishna and we should serve the devotees of the Lord. And then ultimately in the 20th text, Krishna says, Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam maya naga etad buddhva buddhimanasyat krita kritasya cha bharatah. So this is the most confidential knowledge, the most confidential part of the Vedic scripture. O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise and his endeavor will know perfection. So that is the Phal Shruti. What will happen if we understand Krishna, if we know Krishna, if we develop our relationship with Krishna, that person will become wise and his endeavor will know perfection. Krita kritasya cha bharata. बोलते कृत्य कृत्य हो गया अभी मैं कृत्य कृत्य हो गया means everything to be done has been done. So by knowing Krishna, by developing our relationship with Krishna, everything else has been done now. So that person has perfected his life. And this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scripture. Krishna uses 3 words in Bhagavad Gita: Guhya, Guhyatra, and Guhyatama. Like we know good, better, best. So confidential, more confidential, and most confidential. Guhya, confidential. Guhyatara, more confidential, and Guhyatama, most confidential. So at the end of 18th chapter also, Krishna says, now I have explained you the most confidential knowledge also. And after that, what Krishna says, now you do whatever you like to do. Krishna is not forcing that now, see, I explained to you, I spent 45 minutes, 1 hour to explain to you, now you do what I say. Krishna says, okay, now I explained to you, did you understand or not? If you did not understand, tell me, we will go over again. We'll start from beginning again. And if you have understood, now it's up to you what you want to do. So Krishna is doing everything for us. Krishna has provided everything for our maintenance, sustenance in this material world also. And Krishna has provided everything for us to break away from this material world, to go back to the spiritual world also. He has provided all the facilities. He has given scriptures. He sent the acharyas. He sends gurus. So Krishna is providing us everything. And after that, now it's our responsibility to try to understand our relationship with Krishna and serve Krishna in every possible capacity. Okay, so this is an overall summary of chapter 15, which we covered in the last session and today. So if anybody has any comments, any questions, we are open for any discussion. Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Okay. So if you don't have any question, then I will ask question.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Vijay Prabhu.
This moon provides all the juice. I mean, whatever water content is there in the vegetable, whatever is there in all the fruits, That's what is being considered as the juice of life being provided by moon.
Right. So let's say, see, water content, let's say you're watering the plant or they are absorbing water from the earth. So water element is there in the fruits, vegetables. But how does that convert it into juice? How does the taste enters into that food, a particular taste, a unique taste into each particular fruit, into each particular vegetable? How does that come? So that is coming because of the moonlight. The way moonlight, actually there has been scientific studies also that how the moonlight also helps in the overall growth of the plant.
Right.
So if somebody want to do an experiment, you can do that experiment. Try to grow the vegetables. Just keep them in the sunlight, but then in a complete dark shell at night when there is no moon, and see if that taste will come in the vegetables.
Right. Right. And Prabhuji, in spiritual world, they say there's no darkness. Uh,
Yes.
in the sense that uh, it is not like we cannot compare that with the system here. Like we have the dark to sleep and all. So the activities there are totally different. Like means they are always awake or something, or it is
So basically, what described here, the activities in the spiritual world, or how does the spiritual world look like? There are so many descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it describes in spiritual world, time is basically absent. Absent in the sense, it just stays still in one sense, right? Everybody is of the same, they are all looking same, they are all uh, Yuvavastha, Kishoravastha, right? It's not that they are growing old. So it's like time is still there. And even though male, female, different varieties of birds, everything is there, but nobody has any other desires apart from serving Krishna. So there is a male, female there. They are traveling in their planes in the sky. That's also described in Bhagavatam. They are traveling in their aeroplane, but they are singing the glories of Krishna. So it's not that male is getting attracted to female or female is getting attracted to some male there and they have their some individual desires. So there is no other desires than serving Krishna. There is no sense of envy there, envy, competition, pratisparda. There, even though there are so many birds there, so many beautiful birds and such a sweet voice, they are singing the glories of Krishna, but then a bumblebee comes, a bumblebee who has gone very close to Krishna, who has smelled the flowers which are offered as a garland to Krishna. So she has reached up to that point and then she comes back. This bumblebee is coming and buzzing around, and all the other birds become quiet and they're hearing the humming, the buzzing of this bumblebee. That this bumblebee is also doing Krishna Katha. She is speaking about Krishna. So even the other birds, they have such a nice, sweet voice, but they become quiet and giving this opportunity to the bumblebee to speak about Krishna. So in the spiritual world, there is no sense of envy. There is no competition there. There is no lust or some their individual material desires, some other desires there. Everybody has a desire to serve Krishna. Everybody is, so there is no old age, there is no disease. And even though everybody is looking like Krishna, but it doesn't mean they have become Krishna. Right? Everybody has a four-handed form or the two-handed form, like the bluish complexion of Krishna. If somebody is in Vaikuntha, they have a four-handed Vishnu form. But they are all looking similar to the Lord, but they are not the Lord. They have, everybody has still their individuality and they are serving Krishna. So that is the description of the spiritual world.
last point, which was very important. So uh, if they are similar, I thought they're almost like an extension of Lord itself, right?
See, right now also
Uh,
we are extension of Krishna only, right?
right,
So
right.
Jivas are extension of Krishna in the sense we are all part and parcel of Krishna. So in spiritual world, they are the associates of Krishna who has become eligible to go live with Krishna. They have got Savrupa Siddhi. Savrupa Siddhi means they all look like Krishna. They all look like Lord Vishnu. That is Savrupa Siddhi. They have the same form as the Lord. They are wearing the same clothes, same kind of garlands and same type of ornaments and all also. But still there is a difference. Lord is one and everybody else is serving the Lord. Everybody else
So,
is glorifying the Lord.
so in that sense, the free will still exists there. Free will
Yes,
still.
yeah, free will
Uh,
is still there in spiritual world also. But nobody is misutilizing their free will. They have in spiritual world, everybody harmonize their free will with the will of the Lord. Right? Their free will is to serve Krishna. Here we have come in this world because we have misutilized our free will. And here we continue to misutilize our free will. Okay,
thank you.
Krishna. Anybody else? So if nothing else, I think we will end it here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Then